During the next several minutes, I'd like to take this opportunity to talk with you about Bellissima, a cost-effective way of dramatically increasing your sales, market share, and profitability in your engagement ring department. If you're like most jewelers, you've certainly come to the recognition recently that bridal is everything. We know that you need to make a certain number of higher ticket sales every month to make your figures. And what we're seeing and what we're hearing is that engagement rings are the vast majority of those sales. But recognize that over the last 15 years, there's been a significant change in the bridal paradigm, and this is a change that we can all take advantage of. 15 years ago, it was all about the brands. Rattani, Simon G, Verragio, Tacori, Scott K. These bridal brands meant bridal traffic because if you had them, the advertising that they were running in the bridal magazines and on websites like The Knot was driving potential customers into your store every month. In fact, we heard over and over again that if you had Tacori, this guaranteed 3 to 5 engagement ring sales every month because the Tacori advertising was driving those customers. And we could similarly say that many of the other brands had a similar effect. But then, two important things happened. The first thing was social media. 15 years ago, in order for her to see engagement rings, she had to buy magazines, she had to go online and search and hunt to see styles. But today, because of Facebook, Pinterest, and perhaps most importantly, Instagram, she's not limited to dozens or hundreds of thousands of styles. She can literally see tens of thousands of styles. So there's no lack of opportunity for her to do research and think about what she wants her ring to look like. The second big thing was the arrival of the millennials. Increasingly, millennials make up more and more of the customer base who you're selling engagement rings to. Now, if you study millennials, you discover that as a group, they seem to share certain characteristics, notably a sense of being narcissistic, entitled, and definitely in charge. And what that means is that since she's in charge, she is incredibly motivated by an urge to co-create her most important possessions. To see an example of this, let's take the current 28-year-old and go back in time to when she was in 6th grade. In 6th grade, she and all of her friends had to have an iPod, but each of them had to have a different color case and a different texture to the case, so that while they all wanted to own the same thing, they wanted to own a version of it that was theirs and theirs alone. So, fast forward to today, she's 28 years old, and she's thinking about what her engagement ring is going to look like. Do you really think she cares what some old Armenian guy thinks is pretty? Recognize that she now sees herself, in many cases, as a designer. So when she's looking at these various bridal brands, she's not looking at them in terms of, wouldn't it be great to own that ring? She's looking at them in terms of, what are the characteristics that the designer has put into that ring that she would like to use to emulate so that when she creates the ring of her dreams, it's got the right characteristics in it. This has produced the largest upheaval in the history of the jewelry business, such that over 50% of the engagement rings that were sold last year were customized in some way. Now, only about 11% were literally customized from the ground up. The rest were tweaked, but recognize that in making these tweaks, she was establishing a look that was hers and hers alone. So, how do we use this incredibly important information to reshuffle the market share deck? Well, introducing Bellissima. Now, for starters, we began with a grouping of over 500 styles that we had identified as having characteristics that were shared by the vast majority of engagement rings that we're selling in the marketplace. Essentially, a product line aimed at the middle of the bell curve. We winnowed down those 500 to 92 key styles. In fact, we believe that it's safe to say that in a general sense, Bellissima is what's currently selling out in the marketplace. But then we created an extraordinary tool, a series of capabilities that allows Bellissima to become the ultimate gateway to customization. Introducing an element that we call Custom Concierge. Now, Custom Concierge consists of 4 key elements. The first element is Virtual Showcase, we've taken the 92 rings that, again, we believe hit absolutely the center of the bell curve, the bullseye of the target in terms of the general looks that young women are looking for when they're buying engagement rings. We've taken those 92 styles and we've now created over 250,000 versions of those, not just the CADs, but also the renderings, so that in the course of showing these 92 pieces, we can put on a tablet the other 250,000 variations so that your sales associate, in reviewing these pieces, can immediately start a discussion that's meaningful about customizing those. Secondly, a sketch to CAD function in which, if it turns out she's come in with an idea that is not consistent with one of the Bellissima styles, if you can sketch it, if you can draw it, if she's got an image of it, you can then actually send that to our CAD team. And the next morning, you'll have the CAD and a rendering to show her. The third and extremely important element is direct consult. Imagine not only being able to design the ring on site, but being able to actually interact directly with the CAD technicians who are doing the work. We intend initially to set this up so that you and your sales associates can have a consultation with the CAD technicians. But in relatively short order, as we onboard Bellissima dealers, we'll then be onboarding the capacity so that the consumer can also interact directly with the CAD technician in your store. And then the final element, the automated quotation system, is an extraordinary functionality that will allow you to review the pricing initially for any piece that can be represented in a 3D CAD, and then choose the margin structures and the costs the way you want them to be shown to the consumer, and then to be able to review this with the consumer, not only showing the ring as it's currently configured, but also already having automated options so that in alternate metals, in alternate stone sizes, in alternate stone grades, you've got the ability at your fingertips to be able to quote the piece with your customer and then sell them up or bring the price down to make sure that you make the sale. Now, in order to be able to do all of these things, we've had a team of engineers and programmers working on the back end of Bellissima for the past 9 months. And their work actually is being done on top of a platform that's been built over the course of the last 5 years. So as you can imagine, it's pretty complicated. But that doesn't mean you have to be concerned, because you don't have to need to know all of the complex things that are going on in the background. Take, for example, an automobile. It's got thousands of moving parts, many of them moving at extremely high speeds, and some of them moving at extremely high temperatures, as a series of explosions of gasoline are occurring inside the internal combustion engine that in turn is producing the power that allows you to go from point A to point B. That's a really complex scenario, isn't it? But as a car driver, you don't have to understand all of that stuff. What you've got to understand is how to use the user interface, which in the case of a car is the steering wheel and the gear shift, the accelerator pedal, the brake pedal, and maybe a few other buttons or switches that you've got to be able to manipulate in order to drive the car safely where you want to go. So let's take a quick look at the Bellissima user interface to show you that it too, while it's doing a lot of complicated things, is actually extremely easy to operate. So here we have the Bellissima dashboard. This is your window into all the things that are going on with all of the projects that a store can be working on in the course of helping design and manufacture the ring of her dreams. So in this particular case, the top line is giving you an overview of what's happening so far. In this case, $6,400 worth of quotes accepted by clients, producing a $3,600 gross profit. Here's the gross profit of what's awaiting to be approved. And here are the number of projects that have been put in place over the course of the past 12 months in this particular scenario. You'll also notice that there's a place for scheduled appointments, as well as recent quote views. The whole idea here is to give you as comprehensive a look, as detailed a look at what's going on as you can possibly get. In addition, the Bellissima UI is also capturing all of the communications that are going on between you and the Bellissima team, as well as between you and your sales staff and the consumers who are actually using Bellissima to create their own rings. We can now move into the virtual store. You can actually see in the user interface, this is what goes on the tablet that's out on the showroom floor that you and your sales team can use to actually help the consumer understand how to build a custom ring by tweaking one of the 92 pieces. As I mentioned earlier, these 92 pieces have actually been rendered in over 250,000 variations. So if we were to take this piece, for example, we've got lots of alternative ways of changing the ring to meet her specifications. But in addition, if she wants a change that we haven't anticipated, we can actually hit request change and then provide the client's name and email address, the changes required, and submit that to the team. And the next morning by 10 a.m., you'll have not just the CAD, but also the render waiting for her to be able to take a look at. Now, if we go back, let's go to settings for just a quick second and to integration. Here you'll be able to see this is actually the unique address that will point your tablet at. You'll be receiving a tablet along with your Bellissima styles. This tablet will actually be what's aimed at the Bellissima app so that your store employees will be able to start using it immediately. And this is the iframe code so that you or your webmaster or whoever controls your website will be able to take this is specific and unique to your store, and be able to post it on your website so that at any time while particularly the young female bridal customer, who we know typically is going to look at your website about 80% of the time before she comes into the store, she's going to actually be able to come on and see that you've got the ability because of Bellissima to do things that your competitors cannot. And it's certainly our hope that this will be one of the advantages that you'll get from having Bellissima, turning into more store traffic and more sales. Now, we've also got a project list that again gives you clear and concise information about each of the projects, and you can actually open up each of these files to see what's going on there. You've also got the full list of quotes. And again, when a quote comes, you have the ability to adjust the margins and adjust the pricing based on your knowledge of this consumer and your knowledge of this job. We also have the ability to set appointments and the whole appointment calendar for people coming in who want to generate a custom job. So in every way, the Bellissima app is built so that it can do very, very complex things, but do them in a way that's very, very easy to do for you and for your sales associates. Now, even though we've spent a lot of time making the Bellissima app easy to use, the fact remains we still recognize that you and your sales associates are going to need training. So that's why we've actually brought in Linda Pike as our full-time sales trainer in New York City, out of the GEMS 1 office, as well as Julie Peel, who is our sales trainer out of the UK and who also owns several stores. So not only is she there to train your team, she knows the ins and outs because she uses Bellissima in her own stores to do custom ring design and custom ring manufacturing. Now, in addition to this, as refreshers, we're also building videos to train on various elements of the Bellissima app, and we'll be posting them on the Bellissima website. In addition to that, we'll be doing ongoing webinars every week where you and your team will have an opportunity to come into the room and actually ask questions just to make sure that we're always putting you in a position where you can take maximum advantage of the Bellissima, but also recognize that along with developing the product line, developing the Bellissima program, developing the user interface, creating the training, we've also created marketing to go along with it. Because we believe that if you've got this incredibly cool new thing and you can create an in-store experience like no other to allow her to design the custom ring of her dreams, we also need to give you marketing tools so you can actually reach out and touch a bunch of consumers in your local market to start the process and start getting word of mouth. So that starts with a custom market analysis in which we can actually take a look at your market and extract the names and addresses of specific single females and single males in the 25 to 34-year-old range. So we can also do an analysis to tell you about what your current market share is. And we can take a look at a series of marketing programs that are designed to allow you on a 4 to 6 week cycle to reach out to these customers with various kinds of offers, the kinds that will get them in your store and get them buying their engagement ring from you. But in addition to these medium and longer term advertising and marketing programs, we've also put together a 10-day marketing blitz. Now, when you initially get Bellissima and get trained, we think that you're going to want to sell it for several weeks so that everybody in the store becomes comfortable with how to use it. But once everything is up and running and you're confident, it's then time for us to give you the materials that you can use on social media and digitally so that you can do a 10-day blitz specifically aimed, of course, at potential engagement ring customers that's designed to put Bellissima on the map in your local community. So in summary, Bellissima is designed to help you take advantage of a rapidly changing bridal environment. We know that engagement ring sales are the most important category in your store, and we've developed a program specifically designed to help you in this category, to expand your sales, market share, and profitability. We look forward to hearing from you about this. Please give us a call or call your local sales representative and make sure that you lock in your territory. Have a great day.